that shining, darkness glows so bright. You once told me I'd have to dim my light. My mystic being, held by gravity, I almost let you hold me back from everything. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burning my fears now, stealing the power. Keep falling, falling, I won't keep falling, falling. Thought I was gone, hanging on the edge, but now I come back like I got a hex, like I got a You shot my conscience, flew up to the sky. Are you still giving? But now I'd ask you why. Say I'm different, let your words run out. But I'm not desperate for your approval now. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burning my fears now, stealing the power. Keep falling, falling, I won't keep falling, falling. Thought I was gone, hanging on the edge, but now I come back like I got a hex, like I got a like stars that shining, darkness glows so bright. You once told me I'd have to dim my light. My mystic being, held by gravity, I almost let you hold me back from everything. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burning my fears now, stealing the power. Keep falling, falling, I won't keep falling, falling. Thought I was gone, hanging on the edge, but now I come back like I got a hex, like I got a You shot my conscience, flew up to the sky. Are you still giving? But now I'd ask you why. Say I'm different, let your words run out. But I'm not desperate like stars that shine in darkness glows so bright. You once told me I'd have to dim my light. My mystic being, held by gravity, I almost let you hold me back from everything. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burning my fears now, stealing the power. Keep falling, falling, I won't keep falling, falling. Thought I was gone, hanging on the edge, but now I come back like a goddess, like a You shot my conscience, flew up to the sky. Are you still giving? But now I'd ask you why. Say I'm different, let your words run out. But I'm not desperate for your approval now. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burning my fears now, stealing the power. Keep falling, falling, I won't keep falling, falling. Thought I was gone, hanging on the edge, but now I come back like a goddess, like a like stars that shine in darkness glows so bright. You once told